welcome to the David the Dog Trainer podcast, episode 46. Josh, what is going on?
Not a whole lot, buddy. The day before Thanksgiving.
That is true.
You have a lot to do.
We got a lot to do today. It's going to be a busy day. I woke up this morning feeling like there's a lot of things to do because there are a lot of things to do. We got a podcast this morning. We announced our Miracle Canine Training Black Friday sale literally 10 minutes ago. And I have to cook all of the Thanksgiving food with Kate tonight.
Yep.
So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot.
A lot of stuff to do. We're smoking the turkey, sticking it on the smoker. We're going to cook it for like 6 hours. Going to have to wake up real early to start it.
Is this the first time you've used that smoker?
No. I've used it before. It's
Yeah.
the first time I've smoked a turkey though. Yeah.
Big.
There's a lot of pressure involved in this.
There's a lot of pressure.
I feel like I should also get a smaller turkey and stick it in the oven just in case this one gets screwed up.
No,
it's we got a guarantee.
You're getting the nerves are getting to you. Look at that.
The nerves are there. There's a lot of pressure. You see, here's my concern, right?
Mm-hmm.
My concern is that they say 5 to 6 hours in it. My concern is it's going to take 7 or 8 hours, and then we're just going to be sitting around motherfucker.
Yeah.
We're never going to eat this goddamn turkey. So that's the concern.
I think you'll be all right.
I think it'll be all right.
Maybe,
I just got to start it real. I'm going to start it real early.
Yeah, you get
real early.
Yeah, you're going to start at 5.
Yeah, 5 o'clock, get that smoker ready, get fired up. Because that's the thing, I got to wait for it's going to be an hour of just getting the thing hot,
Oh, yeah. Maybe
that thing cooking, maybe get up earlier. Maybe I just won't go to bed. Who knows?
Oh, God.
Get that long
Don't do that.
Smoke. I want that long smoke.
The long smoke.
So that's about it.
That's good.
What else is going on?
Let's see. Finished the edits at Cloak and Dagger. They're amazing. I think they're the best ones I've ever taken.
I saw 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, we threw a little sneak peeks up.
Yeah. I like that. They're a little more than just the drink. You got a little this, little that.
Yeah, that's
a little pizzazz to them.
Yeah, it made me feel a little bit better about my staging abilities. It's like making a whole set for the drink, and I kind of tell people nowadays, I'm like, any dry ingredients you have, please give them to me. It's just the more texture, the better the photo looks.
Yes.
It just gives you more thing. It's more eye catching, I guess. At the end of the day,
I would agree.
Yeah. Other than that, I get over to Nuevo after this. Actually, have a meeting with them, talk about what they want to do.
Game plans.
Yeah, trying to get some game plans going.
I like it.
Thanksgiving at her grandparents tomorrow, at the girlfriend's grandparents. I did, so I bought a car. I think if you guys...
We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about
that. Know.
So Christmas presents are going to be a little trim this year. But
Josh already bought a Christmas present for himself.
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, so we're going to be in Florida, in the first week of December. So,
oh, yeah? What are you going there for?
My grandma lives down there now, full time. Nice. So yeah, we're going to see her, but she's only an hour and a half away from Disney and Universal. So
a quick little pit stop.
Yeah. So thankfully, Devin. I don't think Devin doesn't keep up with the podcast, so it's okay to say it right now.
Surprise her with some ticks.
Yeah. She really wanted to go to the Velocicoaster, so
it's legit.
Yeah, so I got us a couple of day passes with the park hopper.
Oh, you got them already?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
when
tell
are you going? What days? Do you know? That's coming up soon.
Yeah, it's we're gonna be going, I believe, the 8th. It's a Wednesday.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm just
That's going to be sweet. Dude, Universal does the coolest Christmas decorations, too.
Really?
Yeah, they do really good ones.
That's tight. Yeah, we watched this one person.
You got the Park Hopper pass?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we can finally go. Because last time we went, we didn't get to go on the train. The Hogwarts Express. Yeah.
You got to see it.
So I think that'll be fun. And then, yeah, I don't know, man. Like we've been watching this this YouTuber, and he goes on like all the roller coasters, but he was down there recently, and like there was no wait. It was weird. He like got in.
Yeah,
It was like,
it's so spotchy though, because like there was that period of time a couple months ago where they were like, "There's nobody in the parks, nobody's going there, this that," and we went, and it was so freaking busy when we went. You know, so it's so hit or miss. And I saw an article just the other day because we were thinking about maybe trying to make like one last trip to Universal and Disney too, like this coming month.
Yeah,
and I saw something saying like this weekend and like next weekend and stuff like that are 100% sold out at all the parks right now and stuff. Like they're at capacity for it.
That's
and stuff,
crazy.
So it's so hard to predict.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really hoping that since it's the first week of December, you know, it's like there won't be that like Christmas holiday like vacation people yet.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm hoping.
Maybe we'll see. That's the issue though. Is like around Christmas time, like those parks just get so crazy busy.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, they make it a destination, like you said. Like they can go all out.
Are you just doing Universal, or are you guys gonna hit a Disney park too?
Nah, just Universal. Just because we're technically going down there to see family. It's like, and I'm like,
can't make it a whole shindig.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I would for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that was like her thing. She's just been wanting to go on a roller coaster for a while because I like almost refused to go to Cedar Point at this point.
Yeah, dude. Cedar Point was like when they reopened. I remember seeing all the articles about how much of a mess it was.
Yeah, and they're those golden tickets.
Yeah.
So they
extended it another year. I know. I saw.
And they sold more.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Yeah, dude. And they were already like really understaffed there and stuff. Like I remember we went. Now we tried to go one time. This would have been like right after the wedding in August, and we went for the day, and it rained in the morning, so they closed the park down. So we meandered somewhere else, did some other things. We went back later that day, and it took like we were there for like an hour and a half, and we like rode like one thing I think in that time, and like it just seemed like nothing was moving. Yeah, you know, like everything was kind of just a mess. Yeah, and like we just left. We were like we were here for an hour and a half. We're like we're just going home. Like we're over this.
See, and I feel like it's such a weird like way that parks usually do that. It's always like, you know, college kids or like foreign kids that are coming over to like I don't know, I guess on a work holiday or something. Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's like all these European kids and stuff. It's like really weird. And then they had their little like campus that they all live in there. I don't understand that business model, but I guess it's because it's a seasonal thing. Yeah. You know? Yeah, seasonal work. Like, they're going to find a lot of people that are just looking for, like, short-term employment as opposed to, like, long-term employees, obviously. Yeah. It just seems so, like, hectic.
I remember when I was younger, and we used to go there all the time, and I used to think, like, man, working at Cedar Point's probably so cool. That's got to be the worst. Yeah. It's got to be, like, the worst job you could possibly have. Yeah. Sitting in the blistering heat, just, like, measuring people before they get on the ride. Yeah. Have a good ride.
Yeah, the only thing is like if you're like the ride operator, like that might
even
be
that you're
cool.
Just sitting there. Yeah. Click. Everybody have a good time.
I know they always sound
click.
Have a good ride on the Millennium Force. Yeah. You know, like they have to say it like every 30 seconds. I guess you're right.
Yeah, no, that almost sounds worse because then you're obligated to be talking the whole time.
Yeah. And just I mean just imagine like staffing that place like you said, it's like every spring you just have to hire fucking like 300 people. Yeah. Good luck. Oh.
Yeah, it's all like very low wage paying stuff. Oh, you know?
Yeah. They can't be paying that much. No. Well, I
think they pay like $15 an hour if I'm not mistaken.
They were paying $20.
Oh, really?
Because
they were looking for more staff.
Yeah, they couldn't get anybody. So when we went to Kalahari for like a Comic-Con or whatever, there was a billboard right before you get there like, come work at Cedar Point. $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And
suck them in.
Yeah, sucking them in right there. I was like, damn, trying to take from Kalahari, I guess.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I thought that would be a good little gift because she wanted to do the Velociraptor.
Hell
so
yeah, that's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, I just love being in those theme parks, dude. You know?
Oh yeah,
like
it's an experience.
Yeah.
Puts you in a good mood.
I think that's the other thing that makes me like
innovation as far as the eye can see.
Yes, but that's what sours me for like Cedar Point because it's like you go to Universal or Disney, and you're just like,
it's an experience.
An experience.
So your point is just like, here's a ride, here's a ride, here's a ride, here's a ride. Because in fairness, like the experience for them is like these like super technical, like high, like ridiculous, crazy. Like the innovation in the roller coasters there is like ridiculous. I'm just not a roller coaster guy, you know?
Yeah, but then everyone's saying the Velociraptor is like the best coaster.
Oh, I mean, that thing is awesome. Yeah. But they don't have a lot of those there. You know what I mean? Like they have like 3 roller coaster options in the entire park, you know?
Did you ever ride the Hulk?
No, never rode that one.
It's crazy.
Is it a good one?
Yeah, you may not like it. It's pretty intense.
Well, I think the other thing about it, too, is so the Velocicoaster, for example, it's a really great, you know, again, somebody that doesn't like roller coasters that much typically, like it's a really great roller coaster. Yeah. But even just the little theming of it makes it feel cooler, you know? Like, I like it more because I love Jurassic Park, and I'm just like, oh, man, like the queue line and stuff. It's like you're going through InGen, and like, you know, you're seeing all the crazy stuff happening here. Chris Pratt's over here talking about raptors, and it's like, you know, there's all sorts of stuff going on that keeps me engaged the whole time. Yeah. When you're waiting in line for the Millennium Force. Yeah, there's nothing. It's just like, here's a vending machine. You know, like sponsored by Coca-Cola. Yeah. Like, you know, like there's nothing cooler. Yeah. There's nothing that keeps my attention in those lines. And that's the biggest thing about any of those like amusement parks, or not amusement parks, theme parks, right? Yeah. Is every single one of them, they put so much attention into the line that if you're waiting 45 minutes for something, you're entertained the whole time.
Like, did you do the Kong ride?
Yes. Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
That was like the craziest. Like, I mean, they built this huge like temple-looking building.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this.
Oh, that's tight. A sweet ride. Yeah. All of them. You know, like it's the wait is just so freaking cool. Or don't get me started about the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey where you go through the castle and stuff. Like the whole wait, like you're just like, or the Gringotts one, you're just like walking through Gringotts Bank, and it's like literally the line. They invested millions of dollars into just creating that.
Yeah. Talking about that Hogwarts ride. Oh, that's
sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet, but it gets me.
That turns the screen mixed with the
and you're like I'm good if I just close. Like I can't watch the screen part. If I close my eyes during the screen part, I'm good.
Especially when they start flying. You know, like you're on the screen, they just tilt you forward, and suddenly it's just like you're being sucked into this portal.
Yeah, I'm okay. Like when the Dementors like come out, and it's like the animatronic stuff. I'm cool with that. Yeah. The screens. When I'm watching the screens, oh my god.
When we go with Sean, he's the same way. Like he will not do any of those types of rides. Yeah. Like it's just that something about like your brain needs to process it so much more like deeply than like just being on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But you know, I think me and you've talked about this personally, but like the best ride that does the screen thing for me, and I didn't get sick at all, was the Avatar ride.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so like they do so much to make your body feel like you're doing it. I was just like, I'm flying right now.
That ride was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was much more too. That one was like less ridiculous all over the place, like the Harry Potter one and stuff. That one was more smooth. Like you're just on this flight and just like, wow, we're soaring and like.
Well, is in the other one that's kind of like that called Soarin'?
Soarin', Epcot.
Yeah. I mean, that one's cool, but you can tell like it's
less intense. I mean, that one is literally just you're on like a hang glider watching a movie, you know, or an IMAX presentation.
Yeah, and the Avatar is like an adventure.
Yeah.
And they spray like the dirt smells in the water. Yeah.
Feel the thing breathing under you.
Yeah. That was tight.
Cool ride.
Yeah, it was. It was
a cool ride.
When we went, it was like 3.5 hours, but it was worth every bit of that. Like we went right back and waited another 3 hours for it.
That ride rules.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to put. Let's see what we got here. God, I got to weed through the 9,000 texts that I just got about this Black Friday sale. We're blowing up.
Yeah, you even said you're going to be on the phone all day after this.
Yeah. All right. So yesterday we were getting ready to film a YouTube video, and Ella, our media assistant, was like, "Oh, I have all these topics I want to go over, right?" Mm-hmm. And she pulled out her notebook and she had this list of like all pretty good topics, right? That can be discussed. And I want to just kind of just burn through this list here today and just casually discuss some of these things, kind of gauge interest as far as which ones we want to dive more into, and just kind of give my opinion in like a quick kind of rapid fire kind of fashion with these things. And all these topics are going to turn into like longer YouTube videos and stuff like that. But I thought this was a really good list. She was reading them off to me, and I was like, wow. I was like, those are all pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They're pretty interesting. Okay, so basically this is a list of questions for videos, or she was thinking like TikToks or Instagrams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, there's 12 of them here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this list and we're just going to start discussing some of them. Right. So topic 1 was, how do you make training fun and approachable? This is a pretty good question because as a dog trainer, it gets really easy to get into your head as far as, training doesn't have to be fun or approachable or anything like that, right? In the end of the day, we're training for functionality. We're training for real world. We're training for just a better behaved dog and a better relationship in life with the dog, right? Yeah. But at the same time, to some people, the idea of training can be very off-putting, right? Regardless of where you're at in your relationship with your dog. And I think a lot of that stems from, I think a lot of that stems from this idea that some trainers have created of turning your dog into a robot, right? Or changing your dog's personality, or any of these number of things that I find clients will say as concerns when they're getting ready to sign up for programs. I don't want my dog to be a robot. I don't want my dog to be super militant all the time, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think our job is not necessarily how do we make it fun, but I think the correct word is the approachableness, right? How do we get people understanding that that's not the goal? Right. And frankly, I think a lot of this comes on a trainer by trainer basis, right? I've always looked at, you have different trainers for different things, right? And what I mean by that is I like to think that I am a pretty universally approachable trainer from the standpoint of, I think the way that I live with my dogs is a similar type of life that a lot of people want to live with their dogs, which is the dogs are dogs. They hang out. They get to enjoy being a part of things. We get to have fun with them. We get to take them anywhere with us. We get to be off leash. They get to go for really long, enjoyable walks and stuff like that. But I am not this guy that's like, your dog needs to be in command every 4 seconds. And if you tell them sit and they down, you need to correct them and get them back into the sit. And everything needs to be super precise and fancy and this and that. Like, I got all of that out of my system in like my first 2 years of training dogs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I was over that very quickly as I realized that didn't fit into my life because that required a never-ending cycle of being 100% micromanaging of my dogs no matter what I was doing. Right?
Yeah.
On the contrary, you have some trainers out there that are like that. They preach that everything is precise, everything is fancy, everything is super militant, this, that. And I think there are some people that want that out of their dog. There are some people that adopt this mentality of like, I want to be managing my dog all the time. I want to be micromanaging them. I want to feel like they're super well-trained, and it's kind of like an ego-driven thing and stuff like that. Yeah. And there are some people that want that, but the problem is that type of trainer is not going to appeal to your general public, right? If anything, those are the types of trainers that are going to create this negative association with things, right? Then you have the complete opposite side of things, which we see primarily in the positive-only community, which is these trainers that are out there basically preaching we're only nice to our dogs ever, which, again, I get that's the fun and approachable mentality, right? But then you look at the real-life application of that, and what that looks like is hours and hours of work every single day. It involves making everything that you do with your dog kind of a production because there's so much prep work that goes into it and so much alertness that needs to go into it. And frankly, it's something that a lot of people get to initially because it's approachable, right? But once they're in it, they realize very quickly it's not what they actually want, right? So again, getting back to the question of how do we shift this? We shift this through managing, right? Or managing expectations with our clients. We shift this through creating a different image of what training looks like. We shift this by highlighting not the obedience and not all of the work and stuff that we're doing, but the freedoms that it allows our dogs to have. I highlight me going to the park and playing off leash with my dogs. I highlight my dogs going for these super fun off leash hikes. I highlight, any of these types of things that showcase my dogs enjoying themselves, enjoying my company, and being extremely well behaved without the need of being micromanaged. Right? So I think that's how we start to overall shift that state of mind in that world. Right?
Would you say how you approached it in the beginning was a lot of because when you started training with what's his name?
Todd.
Yeah, with Todd, like it was more like a sport dog mentality.
100%, right? People that get involved in the sport dog world can get very, very almost like brainwashed with that kind of stuff, that you have to have that type of life with your dog, right? If you want a well-behaved dog, everything needs to be precise, right?
Yeah.
But a part of that is rooted just in two things. One, this false misconception that you can't achieve it another way, right? And two, it's rooted from the dogs that those people are typically working with. The Malinois, the German Shepherd, that need the constant engagement, right? But I think I've even started to kind of prove that wrong a little bit with my life with Vinny. And I'm not saying Vinny is like the absolute most Malinois of all Malinois, right? But he's up there. I know he's got a very similar drive to a lot of other Malinois out there. And, I don't do all of those things with him. And he's cool, right?
Yeah.
Like he exists,
chill.
like he's energetic and he's excitable and stuff like that. But he still lives the same life as my other dogs do. I don't have to do all of these special things with him aside from a handful of management related stuff, based on some of his social abilities, But I think a lot of it stems from that. I think we push this false notion that it has to look like that, which again creates more of a sour taste in people's mouth, which pushes people towards kind of that positive only side of things, which preaches the opposite of just be nice to your dog, let your dog be a dog, give him treats and cookies all the time.
Yeah, it's just from one extreme to the next.
Yeah, so we got to find that middle ground, of balancing out the best of both worlds. There's a reason why the control is important on one side, and there's a reason why the fun and the rewards and the letting the dog enjoy themselves is important on the other side, but both of them by themselves are the wrong approach. Just like anything else. So that's one topic, obviously. Next one, common mistakes in dog training. So, common mistakes in dog training. This is a hard one because I think it could be geared towards both owners as well as trainers, right? From a trainer standpoint, this is actually a video we made yesterday where I discussed, I think trainers do a really bad job of thinking that it's too much about the dog, right? It's too much about training the dog, which we know is not the truth, right? Training the dog is the easy part. I can train these dogs and get them to listen to me perfectly well and not have behavioral issues in such a short period of time, but I need to coach an owner through becoming better for the dog and improving themselves so that they can improve their life with their dog. Right? I think that mistake trainers make a lot. Another mistake is getting too in your head about the stuff we were just talking about, how extreme you need to get with some of your training, right? Not marketing to your audience well enough, not making your stuff approachable enough, not making yourself approachable enough. Because how many times do I have people that come and say, I worked with this one trainer, but they were so abrasive and they were kind of mean and like, too hard on me over stuff. There wasn't any empathy behind them, and that's a big mistake that a lot of trainers will make. And a lot of owners, honestly, if I had to pinpoint one of the biggest ones, it's thinking that you could do it yourself, right? I think you can accomplish a lot yourself, right? But the second you get it in your head that, I'll quote like 9,000 customers here, right? The second you get it in your head that I've had so many dogs already and I've trained all of them myself, so I could train this one myself too, right? Here's the thing, right? You could look at somebody like that and you could ask them, well, how many dogs have you had in your life? Let's say a real liberal number. Let's say 10. I've had 10 dogs in my life. I've trained them all, right? It's just kind of like, I've trained that many today.
Yeah.
Right? So as you start realizing that amount of dogs that you've had is not a big number at all, and the probability that you just had 10 really well genetic, good-tempered dogs that you didn't actually train, they were just pretty good to begin with, you know? You start to realize that you actually don't know as much as you think that you do. You know? And I'm not saying that to like hate on people and be like, screw you, you don't know anything. Because some people are better with dogs than others naturally. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
But I think that the more you can humble yourself and the more that you can look at some of this kind of stuff as there's always something to learn. Right. And when you get a difficult dog in, because you don't do this for a living, because you haven't experienced these hurdles with those past 10 dogs, that you actually, it's not that the dog doesn't get it. It's just that you don't have the proper knowledge on how to work through those things. You'll see such a shift in your ability to improve your relationship with your dogs. You know, because if you already are relatively good with other dogs and then you could humble yourself to like, there's still more that I can learn. You're going to see that just shoot up because you're going to take that information we give you. And because you already have a little bit of a knack for it, you're going to be able to apply it so much more effectively and see the results that come from it. Right. But that mentality of I trained all my dogs and this one just won't get it. You know, this one just won't get it. It's saying this dog is the problem. There's no other problem aside from this dog's just stupid. You know?
Yeah.
And that's not...
It's not it at all.
That's not it. You know? So that's another piece of the puzzle, I think.
I see that.
Yeah. All right. On to the next. All right. Next one here. Next topic. Difference between bribing and reinforcing. Good question. Okay. So... typically speaking, when I look at bribing, right, I look at we are enticing the dog to do something, right, that they would rather do something else by trying to out-reward them for it, right? So like, oh, the dog is not coming in, right, when I ask them to come in. I'm trying to get them to do it, and they're not doing it. So I pull out a reinforcement. I'm like, hey, this is more rewarding than being outside. Come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? And then they come in and then they get it, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the dog to drop a toy, and they're uninterested in dropping a toy. And I'm like, well, look at this toy over here. I got this one that's a little bit better, right? And what's happening is every time you do it in that sequence, so I guess more than anything, it's kind of the sequence of how you're doing so, right? Anytime you're doing it in the sequence of you try to get the dog to do something, you try to get the dog to do something, the dog chooses to not comply, right? And then you get the dog to comply by showing them some sort of alternative reward. Essentially, you're teaching the dog that they're in control of things. So regardless of if they listen in that moment, they're not listening out of a place of compliance. They're listening out of a place of self-fulfillment. They're listening out of a place of, oh, I'm just doing this because it's best for me right now. Right? Rewarding is when you get the dog to successfully complete something by itself, and then you apply reinforcement for correct behavior, right? So your reinforcement is for correct behavior as opposed to your reinforcement being for incorrect behavior, trying to get the dog to give correct behavior, right? So really, it's as simple as that. And I see a lot of people fall into that trap when you see like the methods that a lot of positive only trainers will have people do to try to stop dog reactivity. Dog starts reacting. Hey, bud, look at this treat over here. Look at this treat over here. Look at this treat over here. Hey, I got this toy over here. Hey, I got this big steak over here you could have. You know, like, that's bribery. Right? Resource guarding, right? Dog's got a bone, won't let it go, starts getting snarly with it. Hey, but I got this treat over here. I got this treat. Come over, get this treat. Come over, get this treat. Right? I think that bribery stems from when the dog doesn't do something and you don't have a means of disciplining them. So you try to get them to want to do something else more than that current thing, right? So it's just a state of mind more than anything. It's not a very complex one by any means, but it's something that I see people unintentionally do all the time, right? A lot of owners will come in and they will be bribing their dog for every single thing they do. They ask the dog to sit 4 times, dog's too distracted. It's like, come on, buddy, I got this treat. Here, sit, you know? And in their mind, they're just like, oh, well, I'm just trying to get them to sit, right? This is how I try to get them to sit without realizing that it is bribery, you know? And that's why having a balanced approach and being able to discipline your dog when they don't want to do something is so important, because it removes the bribery approach, right? They don't do something, there's a consequence for it, right?
Yeah.
Then they do it, here's a reward for it, right? So we're doing both sides of the equation. You don't do it, this happens. You do it, this happens. Everybody wins.
Makes sense.
Oh, all right. This one we did the other day. This was a topic. Rapid fire. What's the most important? All right, let me ask you. Josh, what's the most important command to you in training?
The most important command?
Most important command.
Come.
Why?
Because I know I have control of where the dog goes.
Where they go or where they come to?
Where they come to. Yeah.
I believe, so we did a TikTok with this one. I think it was a YouTube video too.
Okay.
And Ella came up to me while I was we were making these stockings at the facility.
Yeah.
Right. And I was painting I did mine all crazy. I had to outdo everybody else's.
Of course.
Right.
Every year.
Yeah. So I really did mine up. And she came up to me and she's like, "What's the most important thing in dog training?" or something like that. She asked me. I looked at her. I was like, you're something along the lines of your artistic vision to be able to cultivate a message with your clients or something. And I showed my stocking.
Jesus Christ.
Branding. Everybody else though, literally, she asked every trainer in the building.
Yeah.
Every other one was come command, a really good bed stay.
Yeah.
Actually, if you were to ask me this question seriously and be like, David, what's the most important command in dog training? I would say it's not a command. Most important thing in dog training is the ability to tell your dog no.
That's
because
true.
that can be universally applied to everything.
That's true.
It's not just come command.
Yeah.
It's not just bed command. It's not just this.
Yeah.
It's the ability to communicate a boundary to your dog in a way that they understand.
That's true. All right.
That is the most important thing in dog training.
I guess it is. Just had to one up all of us, huh?
You know how it is. We did a YouTube video on this one yesterday. How do you deal with the human side of dog training, right? I think that's a really good one, and I got pretty in-depth into it, so I'm not going to get super wild with this one right now.
Yeah.
But basically, long story short, the human side of dog training is kind of like we were talking about, where most people will focus too much on the dog, right? They focus too much on training the dog. They focus too much on making sure the dog knows commands and stuff, which is important, right?
Yeah.
But just that alone does not solve anybody's problems.
No.
I can give you my dogs, and if you don't know what to do with them and you don't know how to alter your life with them and you don't know how to enforce things and stuff like that, it doesn't do you literally any good.
No.
Zero good.
Yeah.
Where most humans come in and they have enough issues themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny. I was on my call with Watson Fit yesterday, right?
Oh, okay.
And we're talking, we're getting into things and everything. And he was talking about, he's like, isn't it funny? He's like, I got some buddies that are the most skittish fucking people I know. He's like, and they got the most skittish fucking dogs. He's like, isn't that how that works? Yeah. I was like, yes, that is exactly how it works, right? You got skittish people, they got skittish dogs. You got fearful people, they got fearful dogs. You got really forward aggressive people, they have forward aggressive dogs typically. You know what I mean? What you emulate goes to your dog, right?
Yeah.
It goes right to them.
Yep.
Right? And you will project those emotions onto that dog, and that dog will be more like you than you think. Right? Which is why I've explained in the past, right?
Yeah.
There's something to be said about, we see this with clients all the time. You get the dog you need, not the dog you want, right? If if you have personal issues you need to work on and you get this dog that just caters to all of those personal issues, that doesn't help you. It doesn't help you grow. That doesn't help the dog. It doesn't help anybody, right? I use Vinny as an example all the time, right? Hyperactive, crazy, fast, neurotic dog, right? Just like me, right? I'm like that, right? I am by nature not a patient person. When I want something done, I want something done right now, right? If I have goals of doing something, I'm going to go and try to do that thing now, right? And I'm going to do it with a lot of energy, right? And we were too much like that. Him and I were too much like that. So we would fucking butt heads all the time. All the time. Every time, if I was trying to get him to do something perfect, he would try to do it perfectly, and he would screw it up because he didn't know, and I would get really pissed off. It would just turn into this mess all the time. Every time I was training him, the amount of times I would get in these just rages where I would have to just stop. I'm just I need to just step away from this situation right now. It would happen all the time when I first got him, right? And I started realizing if I wanted him to become the dog I wanted him to be, right, which was compliant, calmer, more well-mannered in the house, more focused in his training, stuff like that, I had to start asking myself, what do I need to become in order for him to be that?
You had to look inward.
Right? That's deep.
That is deep.
That's deep. What do I need to become
Yeah.
to improve my relationship with my dog? What do I need to become to improve my relationship with my friends? What do I need to become to improve my business and grow it to what I want it to be?
Yeah.
Everything is about looking inward. And our job is not dog trainer. Our job is teaching these people to look inward and solve their problems to not just improve their dog's life, to improve their life as a whole. I'll watch transformations that people have with their dogs when they finish their training, and I don't just see transformation with dogs. I see transformations as a whole with a person.
Yeah.
I see that with my trainers. I watch my trainers become better people through learning they need to be that for the dogs.
Damn. We just got deep.
That's a clip right there.
That is a clip. Motivational clip right there.
All right. Advice for a new trainer. Everything I just said. Focus on you. Improve yourself.
Yep.
You know?
You have to.
Craft your skill with your dogs first, right? Here's the thing, right? Like we talk about the people aspect of things. You got to be a good dog trainer, right? Like you got to know what you're doing with that. You got to understand the ins and outs of things. You got to understand basic concepts and more technical concepts. The more knowledgeable you are about those types of things, the more you will be able to convey that message to your clients in a way that they understand, and the more you'll be able to develop trust, right? Trust comes from that person believing that you have the solution to their problems.
Yes.
Right? I trust you because I know you have the solution to our video editing and filming needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to start with that. You got to have a deep understanding of those things. And you got to keep pushing yourself with that. But you also have to equally do that on the other side.
Yes. 100%.
And, don't ever just get to one or the other. You got to equally focus on those things.
Balance.
All right. When your dog has one major issue, is it more important for training to focus mostly on that or work to make the dog more well-rounded? Well-rounded is everything, right? Singular issues rarely matter in dog training, right? When we have people that come in for board and trains and they fill out their questionnaire that has 9,000 different specific problems, and then we'll get this sometimes. We'll get people that call, and listen, I'm not bashing on people right now or anything, but like we'll get the call sometimes 2 weeks into the program, 3 weeks into the program, something like that, right? And people will be like, well, my dog hates kids at the playground specifically, right? Or something like that. All right. There'll be some sort of specific problem that they wrote out in their questionnaire that they're like, well, that's great that he's doing good with all these things, but how has that specific problem been? Have you taken him to the playground? Have you taken him in that exact situation to see it before? And here's the thing. In a lot of cases, we have not because, right? Training is not about isolating every specific problem that you have with your dog, right? Training has nothing to do with, I need to go in and my dog's scared of this specific trash can in that corner. I need to go fix that. My dog's scared of this rabbit in this corner in my backyard. I need to go fix that.
Yeah.
My dog hates this particular neighbor on the left side of my house. I need to go fix that. Training is about establishing the communication to tell your dog yes and no in a way that they understand. And to have a clear set of things you could then redirect and ask your dog to do in situations where you need to manage them so that regardless of the problem, you could apply that to any specific situation and make sure they understand what to do. Right? So we do our best job of generalizing to as many different situations as possible, and we will isolate a lot of those specific problems. But once we start realizing that the dog is not seeing those issues anymore in some of these places, we don't have to go through and see every single one of them.
Yeah.
Right? Because the overall state of mind of the dog being focused in on us, being compliant and understanding those clear things means that regardless of if we go into that situation with the playground and kids and we ask our dog to down and our dog does not down because he's too distracted or worked up by that thing over there, we have the communication established and then work through that. Right? So That's why we focus on overall state of mind and we don't focus on going in and isolating specific problems, right?
Yeah.
We know which ones will correlate to other ones well enough, or we know which ones we need to isolate and which ones we don't. So, note to dog owners, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We're not neglecting certain things.
Yeah.
We just know that what we're doing already impacts those things. Yeah. Next one, walking a dog reactive dog in a dog dense area. Okay, so this thing is loud today.
I know.
So here's the thing, right? Depending on the severity of the reactivity with your dog is going to depend is going to change my answer slightly on situation by situation, right? So if your dog is so freaking dog reactive and you barely have a handle on it already and stuff like that, you shouldn't be walking in dog dense areas.
I was going to say,
right?
don't go there.
Now, if you have a formerly dog reactive dog, you've done your work on working on it in less intense situations with your dog, you know, and you're seeing some progress with it, and you want to start improving those skills and testing them with higher distracting situations, my opinions and my suggestions for it would be when you go into those scenarios, you got to do a couple things. You have to go into them with a you got to get your spidey sense, right? You need your spidey sense. Right? Because you need to know what's going on in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right of you at all times. Yeah. All times, right?
High alert. Yeah.
You cannot get caught off guard. You get caught off guard, suddenly a dog's 2 feet away, your dog starts lunging, the other dog lunges, they bite each other, a big dog fight happens, you're screwed. That's bad.
Yeah.
Right? You got to know what's going on in front of you, behind you at all times. Right? So when you're going to those situations, you need to stay off the phone. You need to be not going as like a social hour with your friends. You need to be going there as a training opportunity. I'm going here to train my dog, stay hyper-focused on my dog and what's going on around me, right?
Yeah.
As you're doing so, you need to play a little bit of, coined this term once, right? You got to play a little bit of defensive walking. They say defensive driving.
Yeah.
You got to do some defensive walking.
I like that, yeah.
Right? That means when you're walking, it's funny. I'll go to Edgewater sometimes, and there'll be like a couple dogs over here, some people over here, dogs sitting down at a park bench over here, and I'm like outlining in my head what's my route. Yeah, because the route is not just that path. You don't stay on that path.
Yep.
You make your own path. It's another deep point for you right there. You make your own path.
Man, you're just hitting us with the wisdom today.
So you kind of got to figure out, all right, cool. Well, I need to create some distance from this dog, right? But there's a park bench over here, which means I need to go back this way. And then I'm going to go straight. And maybe I'm going to take this path around this way because this is very dense over here. And periodically, maybe I need to pull off to the side and put my dog into it down. And you're just going to do whatever you need to do to make the dog successful. Yeah. Right? And whatever you're going to need to do to make sure you've got a clear path in which you can go and you can keep your dog out of the way of the other dogs and you can incrementally work on those skills as the dog is passing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's just a straight path and there's a bunch of dogs coming your way, every time you pass another dog, pull 20 feet off to the side, do it down, let the dog pass, and keep walking. And keep doing it that way, you know? But the key is defensive walking, and the key is being hyper aware of your surroundings and going with the mentality of we're going to train, not to do anything else.
Yeah. I would say don't push your dog if your dog's not ready.
I would agree. Next one, clarifying markers. I am continually surprised when I see trainer after trainer after trainer after trainer not understand markers, right? Markers are anything you're using to identify a behavior that the dog is doing and to reinforce that behavior, right? Either positively or negatively, right? And the thing is, markers are so important because they are what have gotten us away from the need of like, you have to reward the dog the second that the dog does a behavior. You need to correct the dog the second that the dog does the behavior, et cetera, et cetera. It's removed the ability of being so trapped in this bubble of like, oh my God, if I didn't catch it right there and now like there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. Right. And it allows you to provide more clarity to your training, right? It allows you to identify clearly when we like something, when we don't like something, if we want to reward something from the distance, when we want to reward something from close to us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. They're just a very important communication tool that we use with our dogs. Right. So what markers do we use? Basically, there are 3 big markers, right? And then we call it like a release marker as well, right? So you have 2 positive markers, you have 1 negative marker, and you have 1 release marker, right? Those markers can be broken up into terminal markers or bridge markers. So what I mean by that, I think I have them outlined on here, actually. There we go. Wait, no, not this one. Hold on. Markers, here we go.
Boom.
How about we just read this?
All right. Wait a second. Okay.
Markers. This is a breakdown of the markers we use through our training program. Now I'm going to add, again, one more to this, right? Good is our first positive marker. Good is a bridge marker, meaning I like what you're doing, continue doing it, and I may or may not bring you a reward. Typically, that reward is food or physical praise, depending on what the dog is motivated by. We use our good marker as a bridge between the behavior they are doing and the reward I am about to give them, meaning what they were doing when they heard good is what they will perceive that reward as being for. Remember, the dog must continue doing the behavior while receiving that reward until they are released. So, what I mean by this, we call it a bridge marker because it does not end the position, right? I say, Waffles, sit. Waffles sits. I tell him, good. I've identified the sit. I've taken a picture of him sitting. He needs to continue sitting, but he knows when I go give him a reward, that reward is for sitting. Bless you.
Thank you.
We use bridge markers in places where we want to create longer periods of duration and reward the dog for that duration without ending the position. So if I'm doing a 30-minute bed stay, I could say good and reward every 5 minutes, continually reinforcing that command without ever ending it. Or we use it in situations where we want to sequence commands without ever ending it.
Yeah.
So I say sit, I say good and reward. Then I say down, I say good, I reward. Then I say come, I say good, and I reward. I've never ended the sequence of commands. I've never released the dog to be free from any of those commands.
Yeah.
I've just worked one command after another and wanted to reward for them along the way.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what a bridge marker is. A bridge one is a continuation marker. It means continue doing the thing, but regardless, any of these markers, they're taking a picture of a behavior. Right? So I say good, I say no, I say okay, I say yes. I'm taking a picture of whatever the dog is doing in that moment, letting them know that thing is what you're going to get rewarded for. They buy us time. If the dog is 500 yards away from me and I tell them sit and they sit 500 yards away from me and I say, good. I could go doot, 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 doot. I could walk all the way over to them, give them a reward, and they're going to know that that reward is still for that sit. Right? Next one. This one I did not write down because we don't typically use this in our training program very much, but our other positive reward marker is yes, right? Yes is a terminal marker, right? So what I mean by that is when I say yes, it takes a picture of that behavior, but it terminates that position then after that. Meaning, I say yes, you did it, that thing, but you're done with it. You don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So you could come and get a reward from me at that point, right? This reward marker we use for a couple of things. We reward things that we cannot have the dog continue doing while they're rewarding. Best example of this is eye contact, right? If I'm asking for eye contact out of a dog and I tell them good, it's unrealistic that they're going to sit there and maintain eye contact while that treat is coming in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no way.
You know what I mean? Like maybe they could do it, you know, but like that would be a very tricky one for them to need to do, obviously, right? So eye contact, something like that, right? We use it in situations where we want to reward something fast when they're far away from us, right? Same concept is with the one 500 yards away. Let's say I'm working, the dog being 500 yards away from me, and I want to reward them, but I don't want to have to go all the way over to them.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a tug toy over here I'm going to reward them with. I could tell them sit from 500 yards away. As soon as they sit, I could say yes, taking a picture of that sit, right? They could get up, sprint all the way over to me, get that tug toy, and they know that reward is for what they were doing when they heard yes, which was that sit, right? Last situation we would typically use this marker is in situations where we want to build a lot of speed and get a lot of quick repetitions in, right? If we're saying the dog needs to stabilize every time to get a reward for good, you're going to kill a little bit of drive doing that because the dog needs to focus so much more. It's like sit, wait, stabilize. Okay, good. Okay. Sit, wait, stabilize. Okay. Right? You know, it's like, it's a lot more thinking. It's a lot harder for a dog when you're teaching a new command. Where if I'm teaching a sit to a dog and I'm using rewards and I want to use that yes marker, I could say, sit, yes. sit yes, sit yes, sit yes, right? And I can get like 50 repetitions in like 2 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And there's not a big expectation of stabilizing, just like get in the position real quick, get in the position real quick, get in the position real quick, right? So you can build a lot of drive with those commands doing it that way, right? Another positive marker we'll add into this, because I talked about this the other day with one of our trainers, a clicker, right? A clicker is a marker as well. The clicker, typically speaking, is used in the exact fashion that yes is used. It is no different, right? The way that most trainers will use a clicker, it is literally verbatim the same thing as a yes marker. It's just a click instead of a yes.
Yeah.
Terminal marker. It identifies the behavior. It releases the dog right away. There's something to be said that a lot of trainers will say about, the click is exactly the same every single time. It's transferable from person to person, which is why people like to use it. I'm not going to disagree with that. I've always just used a verbal marker. I find it's just as effective to me, right? Next, we get into our negative marker. No, this is our negative marker. We classically condition this word to a consequence or punishment, typically a remote collar correction, leash correction, or anything else your dog perceives as negative. We could use this. I had a spelling error in this. We could use this to alter or inhibit unwanted behaviors or correct for noncompliance of a known command. To ensure we maintain the integrity of the marker, it is essential to follow up our negative marker with a punishment 100% of the time, right? So one last point in this is no is also a terminal marker. Let's say I'm working downs, right? I tell the dog down, dog blows me off, doesn't down. I tell them no, then I give my correction, right? Once I've said no and punished that behavior, I've terminated whatever I'm working on, right?
Yeah.
I've said, you did it wrong. Here's your consequence for doing it wrong. We're going to try again. There's no expectation after no and a correction that they do something again, which is why we always follow up our no and a correction with another command, right? I always repeat that down command then again after that, letting them know you did it wrong. Here's your consequence for it. Now do this, right? There's not much to it. We use this to stop behaviors, like inhibit unwanted behaviors. Dog jumps, we tell them no. No identifies a mistake. We give our consequence for it. We use it to correct for unwanted behaviors in the case of the down, right? Again, the markers here, they buy us the time to give our reinforcement, whether it's good, whether it's yes, whether it's click, whether it's no. In all of those cases, the mark has to happen right when the dog does the behavior. At that point, the reinforcement can come at any point after.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we use markers. If I have my e-collar remote here, right, and I'm all the way downstairs, and Vinny does something, I tell him no. I could walk all the way up here, get my remote, get my correction. He's going to understand that that is for the same thing, right? With positive markers, markers in general allow us to not be so attached to the rewards or to the consequences. I could realistically not have any food on me. I could not have a reward or a remote on me or anything like that. And I could train a dog. And if I have a good understanding of markers and where I need to implement them, I could have that food all the way across the room, and the dog is still going to be focused and listen to me as long as when I mark, I go and get that reward and give that reward in whatever way it's intended to.
Yeah.
So that's why they're so important. And that's why we'll see a lot of people like in positive only camps again. They'll be like, oh, well, my dog only listened when I have food on me. Well, if the dog only listened when you had food on you, you weren't using your markers correctly.
Yeah.
Right? Because I could train a dog with just food and not have any food on me and get them to understand it because I'm conditioning in these markers to have associations with them, whether positive or negative.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of our markers. Last one, okay. This is just a release marker, so this would be a terminal marker as well. The only difference is there's no like positive or negative association to it, right? Okay, this is our standard release. It simply means you're free. We use this marker when we want to end the behavior or release the dog from command. There's no expectation from the dog that anything will occur other than them being free to do as they please. If you need to get them to move and do something else, use your leash to guide them, but don't repeat okay. So it's just a simple marker just ending whatever it is you're working on.
Yeah.
You worked a sequence of commands and you want to end it, but you don't plan on rewarding, just use okay, right? Dog's healing with you and you want to release them to do whatever they want, tell them okay. But keep in mind, there's no expectation with it. All it does is it has more to do with what happened before as opposed to what's going to happen after.
Yeah.
We say okay. Okay is like the period at the end of the sentence.
Yep.
Right? That's it.
Yeah.
So those are our markers. Those are how we use them. Markers are a very complex subject. It surprises me how few people understand them. And I think that, going back to things that trainers are doing incorrectly, that is something that they need to do a better job with, is understanding markers.
That's it. That was a good way to like structure how to use them, though. I like that.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one here. Aggression, nature versus nurture. This is the forever topic. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one of how much of it is nature versus nurture. I will say aggression and dogs that have like serious intent to do harm on people mostly. I think with dogs it's a little bit more natural sometimes because there's so much more like territorialness to it. And I think they understand it deeper than we do. But aggression towards people with domesticated dogs is not a natural thing. Right? That's something I tell everybody all the time is regardless of what happened that created it, the past, that, there is some sort of genetic disposition in the dog that's causing them to respond that way. Now, the forever question is, if we squash it right away when we see it, when the dog is a puppy, how much of it will flourish to become this huge problem later on that you'll see with some dogs? Right? We don't really know that because a lot of times the dogs that trainers have that may have displayed that later on, it would have been squashed before they ever even saw that the dog was capable of that. So you'll never know if it would have turned into that. And the dogs that owners have that are already displaying those behaviors, we missed the opportunity to squash it when they were younger. Right? So we truly do not know. I will stick by all day long that it is a genetic trait that's in the dog that causes them to be likely to do that. But how much of it can be impacted later on through nurture is to be determined. I will also say past aggression, anxiety issues, fear issues, things like that. I will say that those things I rarely see are very contributed to or created by the environment. We've seen dogs that we know with 100% certainty have been in like poor, neglected, abusive situations that are some of the most happy-go-lucky dogs you'll ever meet. And we've seen dogs that have been owned since 8 weeks old and have nothing bad happen to them ever and just have the most loving, caring parents in the world be the most anxious messes of dogs. So it's a little bit of both. Next topic, e-collar forever. Yes, you will be using the e-collar forever. No different than you will use a leash forever with your dog. There may be situations that you don't use it. There may be situations that you're not reliant on it, but you will be using that tool forever. And that's okay because I always choose to use a tool with my dog that I feel the most empowered with, which is the e-collar. So regardless of if I need it or not, the fact that I know that if my dogs were to start misbehaving, I have something I can communicate effectively with, makes me feel more confident with them and allows me to do more things with them, right? Second thing, how long would you go to work for if you didn't get a paycheck?
Not very long.
Not very long, right? So everything is dependent on consistent reinforcement, either positive or negative. If you start realizing, or your dog starts realizing they can go 6 years without ever getting a correction for something and they start rehearsing behaviors and not having consequences happen, they're going to start reverting back to their old ways. So you will always be using this tool, right? Now, I choose to use my e-collar in 3 situations, and 3 situations only, right? And in those 3 situations, they are, if we're going off leash anywhere, if we're going anywhere public, or if we're having anybody come over the house. And I don't necessarily need it in those 3 situations, but I know those are the highest likely places that the dogs will try to blow me off in, so I never get caught off guard in those scenarios. Right? So because of that, we don't run into any hurdles, right? So you always use it, but typically speaking at the end, you'll be primarily just using it in those 3 situations. Last topic here, this is not even really a topic. Working on duration, do it. I don't know what to say about that. I think for that, she wanted probably a video of like how to work on duration. But I will say this. Your dog is capable of a lot more than you think they're capable of. That means once your dog understands their basic commands, if you want your dog to hold a 2-hour-long bed stay, they can do it. And they can do it within 24 hours if you want them to. If you need your dog to hold a down stay in a busy public place, they can do it. They're more capable of that than you think that they are. You just have to be consistent about providing appropriate reinforcement for doing those things. Those are our topics. Again, didn't get too into the weeds with them, but I think we brushed on them enough to provide some nice insight into things. And I think there were some really important pieces to that puzzle that we'll be able to get some really nice clips out of. So
and it's a good glimpse into future YouTube videos. Playing footsie with me? I didn't know if that was you or Waffles.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either. Yes, it's going to be good. A lot of YouTube videos coming up. I think the one we talked about on dealing with the owner side of training, I think we'll be releasing today. So you'll be seeing that. Reminder, Miracle Canine Training, Black Friday sale starts today through Sunday. The video won't be up till Monday, so that's not going to help you a whole lot. But I'll probably upload this podcast today so you guys can listen to it.
Yeah.
And we'd love to help you guys out. It's a good deal. Each year we've had to kind of cut back on the things we put on sale, so don't expect this every single year. The one-on-ones are really the thing we're pushing this year, right? We got a new one-on-one trainer in right now. We're trying to fill up her schedule, and she's been crushing it, man. So I just broke my pen. Whoops. Hopefully Black Friday sale on pens somewhere.
Yeah. You're just thinking about those Black Friday sale calls.
About the calls are going So, we'd love to help you guys out. Reach out to us. I'll hop on the phone with you guys, discuss some of your goals, get you booked for some sessions, and we'll get your dog moving in the right direction.
There it is.
Go from there. So, Josh, anything last to add?
No, just take advantage of that sale. I'm just saying. Or at least just get dog training in general.
Get some dog training.
Get some help. But
this time next year, you could have a really well-trained dog.
You could.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about doing some Black Friday sales, but I didn't do it.
You got time? It's not Black Friday yet.
I guess you're right. I could try to come up with something.
Hustle something off.
All right. Well, if you want to keep a lookout for that and you have a business that needs photography, find me at Josh Dobey Productions on Instagram or joshdobeyproductions.com.
Love it. Hit us up at Miracle Canine Training and at David the Dog Trainer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.